Hi everybody. I'm making this screencast in place of the Zoom sessions on 1026 and 1027. So regardless of which group you were in, you can come back and you can watch this. What I'm going to do in this screencast is I'm going to talk about normal structure and function of the digestive system. And in addition to that, I want you guys to think about how your project relates to abnormal structure and function of some portion of the digestive system while we're talking about this. For that reason, I've got the Unit 3 project, Digestive System Disorders, posted right up here. Again, what you might do is you might take a look in here just as a reminder for what your disorder of the digestive system is that you're going to do your project on. Okay. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go through the digestive system notes, and we're just going to take a tour through the digestive system in the body. Digestion starts in the mouth, and you're probably familiar with the fact that the digestive system is basically a tube that starts at one end and ends at the other end of your body. And the purpose of the digestive system is to break down food into smaller and smaller components that our body can absorb so that you can then transport nutrients out to the rest of your body. Digestion starts in the mouth in two forms. The first form is mechanical digestion. Mechanical digestion is just the physical crunching of your teeth as you break down the food. And to some extent, your tongue also serves that same purpose as your tongue just crushes the food up. You also have chemical digestion inside your mouth. The chemical digestion comes from digestive enzymes that are inside your saliva, like salivary amylase. So amylose is a starch. That starch is present in things like pasta, grains, breads, potatoes, things like that. And you might be familiar with putting a piece of bread in your mouth, and it doesn't taste all that sweet at the beginning, but then over time it gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter inside your mouth. Okay, that's the salivary amylase that's breaking down the starch, which is called amylose, inside your mouth. Then the food, which is now called chyme, travels to the back of your throat. Back of your throat is called the pharynx. And there's a flap of tissue called the epiglottis there that diverts the food down your esophagus into the stomach, and it prevents food from going into your respiratory system, into your lungs. Once the food travels down the esophagus and into the stomach, which is this C-shaped organ, which is right here, two forms of digestion then happen inside the stomach. Those two forms of digestion that happen in the stomach is, again, mechanical digestion, as all the layers of muscle of the stomach grind that food as they contract. So that's mechanical digestion. And then you also know that you have a high concentration of hydrochloric acid inside your stomach. That hydrochloric acid, it serves two main purposes. The first purpose is to break down proteins into amino acids. Okay? Without the hydrochloric acid, we would have trouble breaking down proteins. The second purpose of the hydrochloric acid is to destroy any pathogens that get inside our body. So maybe if a virus gets inside our body, hopefully it's destroyed by the hydrochloric acid. After about an hour or two, the food travels down to the most distal portion of the stomach, and from there it goes through a one-way valve into the small intestine. So here's the stomach, it goes through a one-way valve to the small intestine. Now in the small intestine, the only type of digestion that occurs is chemical digestion. There's virtually no mechanical digestion that happens inside the small intestine. What happens is that a number of different enzymes are released into the small intestine by accessory organs, including the liver and the pancreas. The liver is shown right here. The pancreas is kind of hidden in this picture. It's back in this area, kind of it sits behind the stomach. Okay, so let me scroll down and we'll focus on that. You can see that the pancreas hides right back here in this portion behind the stomach. And what it does is it directly injects a number of different chemicals into the small intestine. Before we get to that, though, just note that one of its main functions is to make a hormone. The hormone is insulin, and that hormone regulates blood sugar levels. Okay, so the hormone insulin is produced by what are called beta islet cells inside the pancreas, and that hormone insulin is released directly into the bloodstream. But in terms of the digestive functions of the pancreas, we've got to take a look at these two things right here. Okay, first, a number of digestive enzymes are produced by the pancreas. Those enzymes are going to break down carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids. The second thing is you have to remember that the chyme is very acidic when it's in the stomach because of all the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. when it gets injected into this most proximal portion of the small intestine, the chyme is still acidic and that acid needs to be neutralized. Otherwise, the acid would actually break down all of the digestive enzymes that are produced by the pancreas and the liver. So what happens is the pancreas also makes sodium bicarbonate, which is a buffer against acid. Sodium bicarbonate is just baking soda. Okay, and it's a base, it neutralizes the acid, and it makes it so that these digestive enzymes aren't broken down inside the small intestine. Okay, so those are the three functions of the pancreas, two of which directly relate to digestive functions. We also have the liver and the gallbladder. So the liver is this large structure, it's a large organ right here. There are two main lobes to the liver. And the main function of the liver is to produce what are called bile salts. Okay, bile salts are really important for the digestion of fats. Bile salts are actually detergents. And think about washing the dishes in your kitchen sink. When you put the detergent in there, it breaks up all the fatty stuff that's in there so that you can wipe it away with the sponge. Okay? The bile salts here, what they do is they break up all of the fats that come into our body in our food, breaks it up into smaller and smaller and smaller droplets so that our body can break down the fats and ultimately absorb the fats across the lining of the small intestine and into our bloodstream. Okay, so the bile salts are produced by the liver, but then they go to this little pouch-like structure called the gallbladder. The gallbladder stores them, and then it releases those bile salts directly into the small intestine. Okay, once digestion, chemical digestion has happened inside the small intestine, most of the nutrients have been broken down, and the stuff that we can absorb has been absorbed across the lining of both the stomach and the small intestine. So we've tried to extract most of the nutrients from there. And the consistency of the chyme at this point is basically like you've taken wet oatmeal and you've run it through the blender. It's very, very watery. The job of the large intestine is to remove most of that water from the chyme. Okay, the chyme is very fluid-like, and you can imagine if we don't remove that water from the chyme, that we would have diarrhea. So remember, the main function of the large intestine is to remove water from chyme. All right, thank you guys. That's a quick rundown of what we talked about in the Zoom session on Monday and Tuesday.